Week 6 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, and I'm way behind, so let's just get right into it. Injuries this week. Ben Roethlisberger, LaShawn McCoy, Carlos Hyde, Dwayne Allen will not be playing in Week 7. All got injured in Week 6. Eddie Lacy got injured, or I guess re-aggravated his injury. He is on IR, so he is basically done for the season. They're saying, oh, he might come back later in the season or whatever, but as far as I'm concerned, peace out, Eddie Lacy. High score this week was Odell Beckham, Odell Beckham Jr., who put up a 49.2, pretty much all in the second half, as the Rusty Strombone edged the Moth 118.6 to 111.9. Now, this was a very interesting game going into Sunday Night Football. 8.6 points separated these two teams. The Rusty Strombone had everybody already played. It was pretty much the Odell Beckham show, and just the other players sort of smattering in some points. The Moth needed Dwayne Allen to score, 9 points to get the win. And on the first pass of the game, Dwayne Allen caught a 9-yard pass or something like that, but got injured and was out for the rest of the game. So the Moth fell short, and the Rusty Strombone held on for the victory. Now, this wasn't the only game that came down to the Sunday night, Monday night contests to decide a winner. Tyler Fight Club outlasted Rutherford B. Hazy 105 to 92.9, when on Sunday night, T.Y. Hilton crapped out completely, and then on Monday night, Tyler Fight Club had Matt Forte crap out and left the table set for Carson Palmer to have a big day against the Jets. Everybody thought Carson Palmer was going to have a big day against the Jets, and Carson Palmer really didn't do much. It ended up being all David Johnson in that game. So Rutherford B. Hazy falls short, and Tyler Fight Club escapes with a win. Both teams end up at 2-4, and they're going to have to do a little scratching and clawing to get themselves back into the playoff conversation. Now, there was another game this week that was really close going into primetime, 1.6 points close, but the outcome was never really in question, because the Drew Brees show, Shower Hug, had 3 players left to go on the primetime slate, whereas Team Blumpkin only had 1. Of the 8 guys who already played for Team Blumpkin, he had 4 single digits and 1 negative. He needed Larry Fitzgerald to have his best game of the season on Monday night, but instead got his worst. Fitz only put up a 10.9, and he's the good Fitz, and he only put up a 10.9. Team Blumpkin lost the game 102.3 to 80.7. This was the lowest score of the week. It was the 4th lowest score of the year, and Dahl has now lost 3 games in a row. And for that, Team Blumpkin is this week's GOAT. Another team that just lost 3 in a row is Devontae's Inferno, who got beat up by the Golden Showers 165 to 124.2. Now, the final score only tells part of the story. This game was never really close, as David Johnson scored 38.8 points, and Brandon Cooks and Kobe Fleener combined for 60.1 points. Devontae's Inferno ran into a buzzsaw. The Golden Showers are now 5-1. They're in first place in the league, and they deserved an honorable mention for this week's hero. Alright guys, now it's time for this week's hero. I don't know if you were paying attention, but if you were, the Crab Bowl did not disappoint. It had excitement, it had intrigue, and in the end, the bootleg crab leg could not hold off She Gave Me the Crabtrees, and Bobby J won the game 128.9 to 113.6. And for that, She Gave Me the Crabtrees are this week's hero. Now, going into Sunday Night Football at 8:29, She Gave Me the Crabtrees trailed in this one by 31.5 points. They had 2 players left to go. The bootleg crab leg was done. Their score was locked in. Now, actually, rather than me explain what happened on Sunday night, why don't we hear about it from the man himself? So let's go right now, live on the line, to Bobby J from She Gave Me the Crabtrees. All right, thanks very much. That's right, I have Bobby J live on the line, the victor in the Crab Bowl Part 1. Bobby, thank you for taking a few minutes.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Commissioner. Always a pleasure.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so first things first. You won against one of your oldest rivals in the league, John Ortiz. That's got to feel pretty good.
You know, it's always nice to beat Johnny. I love him. You know, Johnny and I have been friends for, 5 years now. And, and you're right, this rivalry has taken on a life of its own. And I feel like that mine and his arguments over who was better at fantasy was kind of the impetus behind this league. So
yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that statement. I remember those arguments vividly, and like I said in last week's episode, I knew the best way to settle it was to take it right to the field.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me set the stage for you. It's 8 o'clock on Sunday night. You're trailing John Ortiz 113.6 to 82.1. 7 of your players have gone. His team is done. They're finished. 7 of your players have gone. 5 out of those 7 players scored in single digits. The only real good performance you got was out of Cole Beasley. He put together 23.8 points. Ben got injured. Lacey got injured. Adams was in your lineup, first of all, which is bad enough, but then he got injured and he got knocked out of the game. You had a 31.5 point deficit going into Sunday Night Football with 2 players left to go. How did you feel at that time?
I actually, the funny thing is, I actually had texted Johnny before I went to bed that night and said, congratulations on your victory. Wow. Only because Lamar Miller has had a really hard time finding the end zone this year. So, like, I wasn't real confident in him scoring anything more than, say, 13 or 14 points, maybe. But I also wasn't counting on another double-digit effort from Adam Vinatieri, who's... The funny thing is that I was just looking for a kicker with a late bye week, just so I wouldn't have to waste a roster move on a kicker in like week 5 or 6 or something like that, you know.
And he's been money for you.
Yeah, he's been amazing. I mean, there was actually one week where I think he had like 22 or 23 points, something ridiculous like that. Yeah. I mean, he's been the best kicker in the league this year at 43 years old.
Yep, he's a beast. And speaking of a beast, Lamar Miller ended up putting up 34.8 points on Sunday Night Football on his own, in addition to the 12 points that Vinatieri scored, for a total of 46.8, leading you from behind to a 128.9 to 113.6 point victory. How did you feel when you woke up on Monday morning and saw that you had won?
Well, if it wasn't 4:30 in the morning, I probably would have texted Ortiz and said, I told you, dude. But...
Nice. That was very courteous of you.
But yeah, I was thrilled. I really was not expecting to win, just because Ben Roethlisberger had an awful game, wound up getting hurt, and he had a huge game out of Tom Brady again, and I just felt I had absolutely no chance. I was going into Sunday night just thankful that Derek Carr didn't throw for 5 touchdowns on my bench.
Right now, you sit all time at 3-2 with Ortiz. Now, because of the scheduling anomaly, there is one more game that you guys have this season, but normally it's just once a year that you guys play. So, how sweet was this victory now, knowing that you took the all-time series lead?
Like I said before, it's always nice to beat Johnny because, Johnny likes to crow, he likes to talk, and that's cool, and I love him for it. But, when I do beat him, it's always sweet. If we remember correctly, last year I put the final nail in the coffin of his playoff hopes.
Yeah, so one of the most crushing defeats that his franchise ever suffered.
Yeah, and as I posted on the Facebook page, we all know the history of my team, and, I get it, and I don't have too many victories to speak of, but that was probably the biggest.
Yeah, I would say so. So, this was a pretty big win for you, but unfortunately, as we mentioned before, you had a bunch of injuries take place in this game. Big Ben, Lacey, who's now on IR. Devontae Adams went down. Took a look at your roster for this upcoming weekend. It's looking a little scary. How is the She Gave Me the Crabtrees team going to build on this momentum that they've got?
I actually love Marcus Mariota in this matchup against Indianapolis. I mean, he's been really good the last 2 weeks, and as we all know, Indianapolis defense is probably awful at best. And as far as my running back situation goes, we all know I've been snake-bit by this position forever. No matter what I do, I just still cannot get this position right, and I don't know why. I've drafted him late, I've drafted him early. It just doesn't seem to matter. I mean, I'm the dude that drafted Adrian Peterson number 2. And he wound up being suspended for the year. Like I just roll the dice at running back every year and just hope I get something out of somebody.
Well, right now it looks like Lamar Miller might be the best player on your team. Your receiver situation is ghastly. Like, I took a look at your receivers and I had to like rub my eyes and make sure that what I was seeing was correct. Your receivers are pretty scary, dude.
Yeah, it's not pretty. I actually have both Cole Beasley and Kelvin Benjamin on bye this week, so I kind of had to try and piece something together. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, you know what? You had a big win this week, and you have some momentum to build on. So, after this victory, do you have any message for Johnny Ortiz?
I love Johnny, and I respect the hell out of him as my friend, but I got to be honest, it's always nice to beat him. As much as I love him, it's always nice to beat him and kind of knock him down a couple pegs. Especially since he started 4-1. Here comes Bobby J. And I pretty much kind of took the wind out of his sails a little bit. So that's always nice.
All right. So once again, Bobby J, thank you very much for taking a few minutes. Congratulations on winning part 1 of the Crab Bowl. We will see you guys do battle again in week 12. So you got to be looking forward to that. But in the meantime, good luck in the season, and thank you again for taking a few minutes.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Commissioner. Always a pleasure talking to you.
All right, back to you in the studio. Okay, thanks, guys. All right, guys, key matchups. We have 2 games to look at this week. The first one, of course, all eyes on number 1. We have the 5-1 Golden Showers taking on the 3-3 Gotham Rogues. Now, this is the top team in the league against a team that we all probably expected a little bit more from, in defense of his title. We have the current defending champion and a, strong hopeful this season. So this is an interesting game to keep our eye on. The other matchup we're going to take a look at features the other 2 teams in the league that have winning records. The 4-2 Rusty Strombone takes on the 4-2 Bootleg Crab Leg. These are 2 strong teams that want to keep pace at the top of the league, but the rest of us want them to somehow both lose. All right, guys, that's it. Week 6 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Sorry that the update came out so late. It was a hectic week for me, and I will see you next week where it's always sunny.
This is Anthony from the Rusty Strombone here, and I'm a little upset. And I want to let you know that somebody cares, okay? Because we had something called the Crab Bowl. I'm upset because you put a lot of work into this beautiful thing that we have here. And there was a lot of hype this past week for a rivalry. We have very few rivalries in our wonderful fantasy league that you put so much time and effort in. I don't see no fucking shit talking. Nothing. And there's nothing going on in a rivalry, like the number 1 rivalry. We got 12 fucking people in a league. We got one real rivalry that kind of was great for a little while. And we got nothing. John, Bobby J, what happened to you guys? What's going on? No trash talking, just games being played. Come on. Well, we know what's going on with Bobby J. Bobby, you gotta stop being so goddamn humble, all right? Talk a little shit. A little bit. My team performed well. It was 2 good teams going up head-to-head. And my team head was bigger. And we were the better team. I don't want to hear none of that shit, okay? John, what happened to you? You're Puerto Rican, all right? John, you could talk some shit. I want some mean things. Semi-mean. Call him a shitty fantasy football player. Anything. Something.